Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Juicebox Podcast. Let's see what I've got for you today. Ooh, this is Sarah. She's from England. She has a son, Aiden, who's 11, and a daughter named Poppy, who's 9. Poppy has type 1 diabetes. We're going to talk about Omnipod 5, raising children with type 1, and much more. There was a lot of consternation here about what today's episode would be called, but I chose the one you're seeing in your player right now. So blame me if you don't like it. Please don't forget that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. Don't forget to save 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com. All you have to do is use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. That's JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% at CozyEarth.com. When you place your first order for AG1 with my link, you'll get 5 free travel packs and a free year's supply of vitamin D. drinkag1.com/juicebox. If you're looking for community around type 1 diabetes, check out the Juicebox Podcast private Facebook group, Juicebox Podcast, type 1 diabetes. But everybody is welcome. Type 1, type 2, gestational, loved ones, it doesn't matter to me. If you're impacted by diabetes and you're looking for support, comfort, or community, check out Juicebox Podcast, type 1 diabetes on Facebook. The episode you're about to listen to was sponsored by Touched by Type 1. Go check them out right now on Facebook, Instagram, and of course at touchedbytype1.org. Check out that programs tab when you get to the website to see all the great things that they're doing for people living with type 1 diabetes. Touchedbytype1.org. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Hungryroot, the easiest way to eat healthy. Hungryroot.com/juicebox. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Eversense CGM. And sure, all CGM systems use transcutaneous sensors that are inserted into the skin and last 7 to 14 days. But the Eversense sensor is inserted completely under the skin, lasting 6 months. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm from the UK and I have a 11-year-old son called Aiden and a 9-year-old daughter called Poppy, and she is my type 1.
Aiden is how old?
11.
11. And I, for the life of me, think you just told me your daughter's name is Puppy, but that can't be right.
It's Poppy, like the flower.
Got it. I was like, that would be a horrible name for a child. How old is she?
She's 9.
9. All right, Sarah, how old are you?
I am nearly 45.
I would have been all right with me if you said 44. I wouldn't have told on you. You're 45. You're married. I know that because of us speaking prior to the recording. You have 2 kids. Poppy is 9. She has type 1 diabetes. How old was she when she was diagnosed?
She was 5.
5, about 4 years ago. Okay.
It's actually her anniversary today. It is exactly 4 years ago today.
Did you do that on purpose when you signed up?
Yeah,
okay.
I did because I knew I wouldn't forget the date.
A lot of people do that. I used to think it was a coincidence. Then one day I was like, they're probably doing this on purpose. And then I stopped being stupid because I was really like, people would say it over and over again. I'm like, what a coincidence. And I realized that.
I had the choice of dates and I thought, yeah, I've got to do it on that day. Yeah. Definitely.
Sarah, we're going to have to get this out of the way right away. And I'm going to curse for a second, but it'll get bleeped out. Don't worry. You sound like Mary Poppins Adele. Now, why?
Okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Where are you from that your accent's like this?
Okay, so it's a bit, I wouldn't even have noticed it's mismatched, but so I was born and bred in London. I'm kind of what we say is half Cockney. Some people think I'm Cockney, which is the kind, I don't know how to describe that.
Mm-hmm. More Adele. The Cockney's more Adele?
Yes, the Cockney's more Adele,
okay.
Yeah, 100%. But then other people think I'm the Queen's English posh and upper crust, is what they would say. But I'm totally not either. I'm a mismatch.
Yeah. No, I heard the mix right away. It's really interesting. Also, I had a girlfriend once that said I was half Cockney, but I think she was just trying to be mean. What are we going to do? Did that not translate, Sarah?
I don't know.
It didn't. Don't worry. It'll come to you later. Now, which is what I told that girl. Let's get through.
I totally missed it.
No,
totally
it's
missed
fantastic. I'm going to tell you at the very end because it's meaningless. And it drops so dead in the water. I was like, oh, wow. Somehow that didn't translate. That's fantastic. All right, don't worry about that. We'll move forward. There are Americans laughing right now as they're listening.
Love it.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to find out a little bit about Poppy's diagnosis. So how did you see it? What were the steps that happened? What was that first couple of days like?
Well, typical. But there's a little backstory. So it was Christmas 2019, and both children, we thought, were just being the worst behaved children ever. Ignorant, ignoring us, not doing what they'd been asked to do, not coming to the table when we said tea's ready, all of this, just ignoring us. And we were like, what is wrong with both of you? Both of you are being bone idle. Why are you ignoring us? You're being terrible. Christmas holiday. So it turns out they both had ear infections at the same time. So couldn't hear us.
Seriously.
We had literally for a week or so during the school holidays been shouting unreservedly at these two terribly behaved children. So she was 5 and he was 7. And we just thought, what is going on here? And then
were they not in pain?
No.
No
pain,
my gosh.
no anything. But we just thought, because it had gone on for so many days, we were like, there's got to be something wrong. And I think Chris he was feeling under the weather or whatever. So we went to what we have here is a walk-in centre. So it's an emergency. You can walk in and you get like a little ticket and you wait your turn and you see someone within a couple of hours. So he was going to check and it turned out he had a viral infection. So he was feeling man flu, we thought it was, but it turned out to be a viral infection. And we said, well, why we're here?
You thought it was the man flu, meaning you thought he was just being lazy?
Oh, that's a common term over here. Yeah, man flu, we call it. Whenever a guy is like, oh, I feel like I've got a bit of a cold and I need to be wrapped up in a blanket. It's like, yeah, that's man flu. There's nothing wrong with you. Just get over it.
You think boys do that to get a little time off?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't done that. Should I try that? Like just walk downstairs and go like, I can't today and sit on the sofa? Some
women will give you some sympathy. Majority of women. Probably Kelly might not give you any sympathy.
Not the one I picked. No, I don't think so.
She might be wise to it by this many years. But you've already confessed you don't get ill, so...
Yeah, it's true. I really don't get sick very often, so it would be hard for me to... And when I do, I get sick very quickly and it's over. So, like, I make this announcement, go to bed, wake up in the morning, and it's gone. So, yeah. All right, so everybody's sick. So, you're yelling at you're having conversations where you're like, hey... We raised terrible children. Look at them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny. Okay.
Definitely totally questioning our parenting. Just thought it was all going down the pan. So yeah, they said, can you just have a look at the children? Because they have, whatever. And they said, yep, they've both got ear infections. So gave them antibiotics, sent us away. We felt terrible. Then they went back to school. Aiden recovered. His ear infection went totally fine. Mm-hmm. Poppy seemed to carry on. So when she went back to school, they said, she's having real trouble hearing us at school. We've trying to, do a little bit of sign language with her and all this to try to communicate. She can't hear the teacher, all this. It all kind of happened at once. Then she started getting picked on by some older girls at school. So she started getting bullied, which we did sort out. So then she was anxious about that. So then she started drinking and obviously urinating loads, and then it all happened straight away. So we went back to the doctor. We actually saw a GP, so our general practitioner, 6 times, and every time I said my mum is type 1, but at that point I didn't know the difference. So I said my mum has got diabetes and my dad had diabetes before he died. He was type 2.
Right.
I said to them, could this be diabetes? Obviously just totally didn't know which type, just could this be? And they were like, nope, definitely not. That's not on my radar. It'll be, we'll check her for a urine infection. So checked her, gave her some antibiotics because she was sore because she was going to the toilet all the time. So they were like, oh yeah, well, down there looks tender, whatever. So I went back every single week without fail for 6 weeks in a row saying she's not getting better. It was terrible. She was up throughout the night drinking, throughout the night going to the toilet. School was saying she's drinking 3 and 4 bottles of water a day.
Right.
All of that. So at one point, so the final appointment that we went back and they said, no, we don't know what it is. What we'll need to do is we'll need to send her for blood tests to check her kidneys and something else. And the waiting list for those blood tests will be 3 weeks.
I'd like to introduce you to your partner in eating healthy, Hungryroot, the easiest way to eat healthy. Hungryroot has the best fruits, vegetables, premium meats, kids' snacks, soups and stews, baked goods, and so much more. Hungryroot.com/juicebox. You can save hours of planning, shopping, and cooking by letting Hungryroot deliver food you'll love right to your door. And Hungryroot is here to support your fueling goals. Do you need more vegetables, less sodium? Hungryroot can make that happen. If you're ready to dig in, use my link, hungryroot.com/juicebox. Links in the show notes, links at juiceboxpodcast.com. How many times have you thought, it's time to change my CGM? I just changed it. And then you look and realize, my God, it's been 14 days already, a week and a half. Feels like I just did this. Well, you'll never feel like that with the Eversense CGM, because Eversense is the only long-term CGM with 6 months of real-time glucose readings, giving you more convenience, confidence, and flexibility. So if you're one of those people who has that thought that, I just did this, didn't I? Why do I have to do this again right now? If you don't like that feeling, give Eversense a try, because with Eversense, you'll replace the sensor just once every 6 months via a simple in-office visit. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox to learn more and get started today. Would you like to take a break to take a shower? You can with Eversense without wasting a sensor. Don't want anybody to know for your big day? Take it off. No one has to know. Have your sensors been failing before 10 or 14 days? That won't happen with Eversense. Have you ever had a sensor get torn off while you're pulling off your shirt? That won't happen with Eversense. So no sensor to get knocked off. It's as discreet as you want it to be. It's incredibly accurate, and you only have to change it once every 6 months. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. What is this? Is this the norm in this healthcare situation?
It seems to be. They didn't in any way. So all they were doing was they checked her. She gave 5 urine samples. They never once checked it for sugar. They just checked it for infections, which I just find bizarre. And they didn't prick a finger. And they just thought, when I said, could this be diabetes? They just looked at her, and obviously she was a slight, tiny little thing, and thought, no, this obviously thinking type 2. So at that point, after 6 weeks, I was like, I can't let this go. I can't wait another 3 weeks for a blood test. So I rang my mum. So my mum lives like a mile away. And I said, can you bring your blood testing kit around? Something is nagging me. I can't let this go. I can't wait 3 weeks. I need to test her blood sugar.
Yeah.
And so my mum was poorly at that time. She was like in her 80s anyway. So my sister, who lived with her, brought it round. So she brought her, tested it. And again, it had that high, which obviously so high that it can't read a number.
Yeah.
So then just obviously I knew. I phoned our emergency care 111. They said, go straight to A&E, which is accident and emergency, which is your emergency room. Just go there straight away. So I rang my husband. So my husband's a police officer. He works. So we're in the Midlands. He works in Birmingham, which is about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour's drive away. So I rang him and said, this is the crack. She's got diabetes. We are going to A&E right now. Get home. So he drove straight home. We went because I don't drive. So we waited for him to come home. He stayed with Aidan. No, he didn't. My sister stayed with Aidan. And we took her to the hospital. And yeah, within 15 minutes.
Sarah, you don't drive because you're a fancy lady or because you don't have 2 cars or why exactly?
Oh, I wish. Oh, okay. So there's another element of the story. I don't drive because I'm visually impaired.
Okay. I didn't know that. It just seems strange in this day and age that you don't drive. That's all.
Yeah. I would love to be able to drive, but no, it's not on the cards.
Also, I might call this episode The Crack. You said that a minute ago. Do you know that?
I did say that. Yeah.
I don't know. I assumed it meant like, here's the skinny, this is what's going on or something like that. So
it means this is the deal.
Yeah.
Here's the situation. That's the crack.
I don't know why, but I love it. And you said it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to call the episode that. Unless you say some other British thing, which you very well could.
Okay, so we'll see. I'm sure I've got plenty.
So we've got your husband coming from across town. I like that you tried to get your 80-year-old mom to come over with a meter. She was like, I'm old. No.
Yeah.
And so, can't you wait to be like, just not wait to be so old that when somebody says something to you, you go, no, I won't be doing that.
Well, I don't think she actually said that. Probably. She probably didn't. I don't remember. I was too like.
I can't wait to be old like that. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, I don't care what you think. But okay. So got the meter, find the blood sugar high, which in the meters we have here is like over 500.
So I actually have it. So when she was at the hospital, it was 576.
Yeah. Okay. So
32 UK.
Wow. Now are we waiting for our husband to get back to pick us up, or do we just find a different way to go? I'm trying to figure out, does he take that long drive to meet you at the
So
emergency?
They said, go to accident emergency now. I rang him and said, do you want me to wait? And he was already in the car. So he was home with, well, he obviously broke the speed. No, he didn't break the speed limit.
That wouldn't happen. There weren't lights and sirens and driving very quickly. No.
No, he did. He couldn't have taken a siren home with him. No, but he was probably home within half an hour. So we thought, they didn't say, I mean, I don't know. In hindsight, maybe I should have just gone on my own, but I didn't. I waited for him and we went together.
No, of course. Do they call them bobbies where you are? Or is he a cop?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, hang on, let me think. He's a police officer. Bobby's on the beat. Yeah, I suppose they would refer to them as that. Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know, if my television watching is accurate or not. That's all. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, we get to the what did you call the emergency room? What do they call it?
A&E, accident and emergency.
Accident and emergency. Okay. You get there. Are you pissed the whole time that you've been trying to tell a doctor this for weeks, or does that go out of your head?
So it was so traumatic. So they couldn't even, what were they doing? They were doing her toes. It's like, I don't know what they were doing. They couldn't get blood out of wherever they were trying to get it. So they ended up doing her toes, and it was just all a horrible situation.
Mm.
But yeah, no, they diagnosed her. They got her on a ward as soon as possible. So at this point, obviously, I know they're like, it's type 1, it's insulin forever. I'm like, oh, right, okay, that's what my mum is then. So I then clicked, my mum is type 1. My dad was type 2. I think he got type 2 in his 60s, and he managed to last, he said, his words, last 20 years on diet and exercise before he then had to use insulin. So when he passed, he was on insulin as well, but I didn't know which. I knew they were different types. They both had different types, but I didn't know which.
All right.
Obviously, until...
This is a bit fascinating, Sarah, so we're going to take a left turn for a second. Your mom was how old when she was diagnosed?
In her 30s.
Ah, okay. But how old were you then?
0.
Right. So you were not. So your entire life, your mom's had type 1 diabetes.
Yeah. Yeah. She was diagnosed in her 30s after her 3rd child. I was her 4th child at 42.
Whoa, hold on a second. Your mom was a player.
She spent her whole life having kids, I think. So do you want the story?
Goddamn right I do. Go ahead.
Okay, so she got married at 17.
Okay.
To my dad, who was at that point 26.
Ooh, okay.
I know. To me, controversial, but in those days, so hang on, let me think. Oh, do I know the year? So hang on, she passed when she was 84, which was 3 years ago, 87. So she would be 87. And she got married at
75 years ago. So like it was 1950 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, about. Well, so he had a job, so he was a good choice.
He'd just come back from the army.
Okay.
And he was a family friend of her mum and dad's. So they loved him and all that. So the fact that he was 23 and she was 17 wasn't... Wait,
23 or 26?
No, hang on. 23.
Oh, okay.
He was 6 years older than her. He was 23.
I see.
She was 17. Did I get it wrong?
You said 26 the first time, but that's 23 is, it's funny. It's not any better. Like,
No, I know.
If a 23-year-old came after my 17-year-old daughter, he'd leave here with a stick on the side of his head.
Yes.
So, yeah. But okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
1950, they get married. They make a baby right away.
Yep. So she had my brother when she was 18.
Okay.
So they got married in the January. He was born 13 months later in the February.
I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Straight away cracks on. Yeah.
Wait, what was that saying? What was that saying?
They cracks on.
I don't know what the you're talking about. Doesn't matter. Okay, so did you hear that thing I did with that kid, the British kid, like a year ago?
I have listened to every single episode.
Oh.
Within 18 months.
His accent was so thick that I was proud of myself when I understood what he was saying. Do you remember him?
Oh, there's only been, so I've listened to all of them obviously, but there's only been about 10 British that I think of.
He was on a reality TV show.
Let me think. Oh yeah, I know him. Yes, I know him.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I went and Googled him afterwards and found out who he was. Yes.
Handsome boy, am I wrong?
A what boy?
He's a handsome boy, I said.
Oh, too young for me.
Well, I didn't say, not too young for your dad, but go ahead. Okay. Now, so your mom and dad are knocking out kids. Tell me how many they had and you were go ahead.
Four. So she waited 10 years then after that. So I think they learnt their lesson. Having had one so quickly, they thought, I think we should chill out now.
Yeah, that was expensive and painful.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so she took a 10-year break and had another one at 27, 28?
Yes, yeah. 27 and 30. So she had two close together. So I had two sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So she had one at 27, one at 30. And then within a couple of years of my second sister, she got type 1.
Okay.
So that would have been so my sister was born in 69. So early 70s she was diagnosed.
Right. So there you go. So your mom, because that's the first thing I thought was like, was she, she wasn't cranking out kids with type 1. So she gets type 1 after her third. That, am I guessing that slowed her down, but then she wanted to try one more time for a baby, or did she get pregnant with you by mistake?
I was conceived by accident when my sister was, she says, dying in hospital with meningitis.
Oh. They're just trying to get rid of a little stress, maybe?
It's not true. So, my sister got meningitis when she was 12 and was in hospital critical. And they were, she was in hospital for ages. And my mum came in and told her the funny story. My sister retells it so well. But she came in and said, oh, guess what? We thought I was going through the menopause, but no, looks like I'm pregnant. And her response was, you're already lining up my replacement. What is going on? I haven't even died yet. She didn't. She recovered. Obviously, she recovered. She's fine.
It sounds to me like your dad was like, I am feeling very stressed about this kid in the hospital thing.
Yeah.
You know what would help, mother? And you can't get pregnant. You're so old. But then, boom, here you come. Okay, I get it. Nice. Jeez. Okay. Your visual impairment your whole life, or? Yeah.
Googling it, I have thought that maybe it has something to do with type 1 back then, as a mum having type 1 and visual impairments on the children. But it's never been as cut and dried as that. They've never really said that. It's just speculation.
I mean, so this is really interesting because your mom lives a long life with type 1. She lives 50 some years with it.
Yeah.
But you're unaware of her management in my mind, because it's not front of mind for you. So did you not see her taking care of herself? This is the whole reason I asked about this.
Yeah. So she was, I think, in my mind, now having known, obviously living with Poppy for 4 years now and knowing all the stuff, she must have been on a constant roller coaster. She must have been.
Mm-hmm.
Because the management that I saw or that I remember, she was told many years and years ago, she was told she was brittle, which again, I think was them giving up on her to a certain extent.
Yeah.
When my dad was around, he would very much take, not ownership, but he helped her out immensely. I know that. I know he would always be like, oh, that's a fistful of a potato and this kind of thing. He would know, oh, that's 1 unit, that's 2 units, that's 3 units. He would look at a plate And he would do very much like you. It wouldn't be how many grams of carbs, it would be how many units of insulin is it.
Right.
And he, majority of the time when he was there, he would do it. He would do it for her and tell her how much to dose. Did have a handle on it, but many times, when I was growing up, I would come home to her and find her unconscious. As a child, it never I don't think it affected me and scarred me or that kind of thing. It just was like part of life, like, oh, mum's low again. She's had a hypo. So we all grew up with it as part of life, not as a big, normally she would handle it, but sometimes I would have to call the ambulance when I got home from school. So that sounds terrible, but it didn't seem like a big, massive thing, but it was, obviously.
Yeah, it just didn't ring out that way. So, I mean, 56, it's in the 80s. I'm trying to, so when are you born? Give me the year you're born.
79.
79. So she's like regular NPH or maybe beef and pork insulin for a little while mixed in there.
Yeah. Yeah, she did have beef and pork.
Yeah. And then, so she's just shooting once a day, twice a day as it goes on for that decade. And probably just doing some food exchange kind of an idea or that kind of a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And your dad knows more about it than she does. Was she an unstable lady? Did her personality jump around?
I would say she did have bouts of depression, but never diagnosed and never treated. I think she would get herself really anxious about certain things. Like she'd have shingles a few times and be super worried and super anxious about things. But we just kind of went through it and just carried on.
Okay.
I don't know if it was like you said, was she altered because her sugar levels were high for such a long period of time?
Yeah. Was she angry, short-tempered, foggy, then goofy? You know what I mean? Like, did that bounce around like that? Or maybe not. Maybe those slower insulins didn't give you as much of maybe the swing was more in the number. I don't know. I'm guessing, older people with diabetes. But okay. So you don't really see it a lot growing up. It's not even a thing you think about. Like if I would have said to you prior to Poppy, if I would have said to you, hey, tell me 5 things about your mom, you wouldn't say she had diabetes, right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Probably not. I mean, she did move on with it in years to come. She did move on with obviously faster acting, and she did get a Libre. So she was checking less. But as soon as I was like in the know, well, not in the know, but as soon as I knew more, I felt like she was not getting decent care at all. I do think that she was a lady, so she lived to 84.
Yeah.
I think, and Poppy got diagnosed a year before. So I think they had thought over the past, so since my dad, probably the last 5 to 8 years, they had thought, do you know what? She's a lady in her 80s. She's not doing a good job, but just let her be. Let her.
Yeah, but Sarah, 84. If I make it to 84, I'm calling it a good day, and I'm leaving. You know what I mean? Don't you think that?
Yeah, I know, but I know her health was seriously damaged and seriously affected.
Yeah.
And had it not been, she might have made it to 94.
Yeah, I mean, if her body had the fortitude to get to 84 in bad shape, you're right, she might have gone farther. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because obviously it's not, what you would call modern care. She didn't experience any of that. Do you even know about her side effects? Do you know what she was living with as far as troubles? What did she have going on?
It didn't really, all the side effects generally she seemed to be absolutely fine. She was fit as a fiddle, we say. And she was always 10 years younger than what she actually was. She looked absolutely fantastic, amazing, really fit and healthy until my dad died. So at that point, she would have been, hang on. So he was 82. She was 6 years younger. So she would be 76.
Okay.
So up until 76, maybe a year after, she just looked so young. She looked in her 60s. Everyone commented, oh, your mum looks so young. She's got great skin, this, that, and the other. She would walk miles and miles and miles. She wouldn't get the bus to somewhere. She would walk, even if it was a couple of miles, do everything, herself, all that. She just was a young 76.
Yeah.
But then it started to all hit her. So she had neuropathy definitely in her feet. That was for a while. So she would have to be really careful. She could step on a nail or anything and not even notice until she saw blood gushing out. No feeling in her feet. Her hands were really, really badly arthritic, but she was also, she lost feeling in her fingers. And I think probably for best part of 45, 50 years of finger pricking.
Maybe neuropathy too.
It just, all the feeling is just gone.
Yeah.
But then she started having, so her kidneys, she definitely had kidney problems. Again, I don't know the exact diagnosis. She wasn't on dialysis.
She wasn't on dialysis, yeah. Okay.
They were saying she has got kidney failure. She has got kidney disease. She's got heart problems, heart disease, etc., etc. So she did have all of that. But then that same Christmas, when we accused the kids of not listening, obviously they had ear infections. She was also diagnosed with Alzheimer's and vascular dementia at the same time.
Really?
So that was the slow decline. I think that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, they call Alzheimer's diabetes type something.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's her. That's your understanding of her. Poppy's diagnosed. Do you at some point think, oh my gosh, my mom's life is my daughter's life now? Or do you see that it's different when they start teaching you about the management and think maybe this will be different for her?
No, I didn't see it the same, because I thought as soon as they started educating me, I just thought, or I started educating myself, I thought this is not the same. Mm-hmm. This doesn't have to be the same. She doesn't have to have all these problems because we don't manage it, even from day one. My mum, in that first year, there's only 1 year where they were both alive. Well, my mum was alive, and obviously, and then COVID hit, so we couldn't meet up with her very often. But she would wake up, my sister would tell me, if mum wakes up in the morning and she's high, she just doesn't have breakfast. And she'll wait for hours until she comes down. And I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. Why doesn't she just have a correction dose? What? Didn't make any sense to me. And then again, I'd meet her up. We met at the park so she could have a little walk around and the kids could play on the swings, whatever. And I said, what's going on? Or how are you? She said, I need to walk around for a few hours because I'm quite high. I'll just walk it off. I was like, do you not want to take a correction dose though? And she's like, no, I'll just walk. I won't have tea until I come down. I just thought, well, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a completely different world. So straight
away and I was only like, a couple of months into it, I was thinking, that's not what you should be doing.
Were you able to feel any responsibility to your mom or guilt about her life, or were you so overwhelmed with Poppy that you kind of couldn't think about other people?
I do feel that if I had somehow been more involved or known more, that maybe I could have helped her. But I wasn't involved. I didn't know. And my sister was her carer. And it turns out my sister knew absolutely nothing about diabetes at all and didn't take it upon herself to learn.
I don't know how to figure that out.
I don't.
When a doctor or tells you this is how it works, I think most people just believe that. And why would they not? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Why would a doctor give you some of the information about your daily disease? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Why would you even wonder, did they tell me everything? Yeah. But I take your point. She's living, she's doing okay. And probably people told her, oh, you have neuropathy in your feet because you've had diabetes for so long. We expect that.
Yeah. All of the things.
The stuff
we're all said it's because you've had diabetes for so long. This is why you've got X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And nobody said X, Y, and Z for a while on here. So that was good. Good job. Okay. How do you teach yourself about diabetes for Poppy?
Okay. So the first 6 months, we were very much drip fed from the hospital, from the diabetes team that we have there. So you have a group of nurses, you have a consultant that you see you see the consultant once every 3 months, but in the early diagnosis, you get weekly. Obviously it was all COVID. So Poppy got diagnosed on the 7th of March, 2020. She was in hospital for three days. We got sent home. We went into the hospital, had a meeting. They did all the education, all that kind of stuff. And then the 20th of March, everything shut down. So then from then, they didn't see us again for 6 months, 9 months. It was all remote. So it was phone calls and emails.
Mm-hmm. Was that helpful at all? Did you feel yourself understanding, getting better, moving forward, or was it just the thing they were doing?
No. So because I had 6 months with Poppy 24/7. I feel like I did get a handle on it because I watched her every single day for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like you with Arden when she was diagnosed, you just stare at her and thought, what is happening inside? They were quite helpful. I do have to say, yeah, they were really checking in. So like the first month, they said something like she can have no snacks in between meals because we want to work out the ratios, which was really hard. So she could have carb-free snacks. So, okay, which is why she now hates cucumber, because for a month she had to eat nothing but cucumber and cheese and whatever they said was low carbs, like carb-free snacks in between meals. To a 5-year-old, she now doesn't like any of those things.
I bet.
But yeah, that's how they worked out carb ratios. But then I think within, I don't know how long, they would do checks. So, you know, again, she was on Lantus and Nova Rapid injections. If she was going low in the evenings, all that, they would change all the how much glargine in the background. They would do it and they would check in, try this and we'll give you a call in a week's time. They were doing what they said. They would check in with me. But at some point, I don't know when, but at some point I was like, do you know what? I can't be listening to them anymore. I need to do this myself. I don't know when it was, but at some point I just thought they're only tweaking it by this little amount and then see what happens for a few days. Well, why do I need them to okay it? I can do that.
Yeah.
I can tweak it a little bit and see what happens in a few days. And then if it doesn't work, I'll put it back.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like common sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say maybe a year. I don't know if it was a year. But then she's had, like you said, you have to be your own advocate. We've had to fight for everything that she's ever got. As much as I think people say everything's free here, as much as it's funded by the National Health Service, it's not just given to everyone on a plate, 100% not. And we've had to dig our heels in many times to get what we needed to get for Poppy.
So, Sarah, it's free if you can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Like if you can get yourself to it, get your hands on it, get somebody to agree to hand it to you, then it doesn't cost anything. But it's not just like you don't wish out into the air and it just arrives.
No, absolutely not. And it does seem to be like we refer to things as a postcode lottery here. So depending on what area of the country you are, can very much dictate what you are offered.
Yeah.
And whether you will get it or not, which is, yeah.
I was interviewing this girl the other day from America. She's a nursing student. And she said, she was talking about something that they teach in school. And she said, well, it depends on, what part of the country you're in. I'm like, why is nursing school dependent on what part of the country you're in? Like, aren't there basic ideas that they all need to know? Whether you live in Minnesota or Florida? You know what I mean? I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But then you say this, like postcode lottery. And if you talk to people in Canada, they'll tell you that their diabetes care vacillates wildly depending on what province you live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where some places they'll put you on regular and MPH in 2024.
That is insane.
Yeah. So, or you go to another province and they're like, no, here's a CGM and a pump and let's get going. It's really interesting. I've been, I'm going to have to stop doing these cold wind episodes a little bit. I'm going to need a break for myself because I'm getting a little cynical listening to them. You know what I mean? I'm like,
I can see that.
Yeah. So everybody's just not trying. Got it. Great. Except the ones who are up until they burn out and they stop too. Like, yeah. All right. Great. I'm sorry. So you're making it through this process. You're teaching yourself on your own using the internet, you can't use your mom. You can't use your sister. Did you try? Did you call your sister? And then you were like, oh, hell, she doesn't know anything.
It's a very sore subject, to be fair. But she was trying to do the bare minimum that she could with my mum's care. She didn't want to get involved. She didn't want. So my mum was, with her arthritis was getting worse. She was finding it harder and harder to do the injections herself.
Yeah.
My sister didn't want to do it. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, well, I don't feel comfortable doing it. I was like, I don't feel comfortable giving my 5-year-old an injection, but you just do it.
Hey, I've been married for 27 years. I haven't been comfortable once. You don't hear me complaining. I just get up every morning. I go, okay. And I go. Yeah.
So she was reluctant to take on any responsibility. She said, so she requested that a nurse would come in to give my mum a couple of injections a day. So they tried to put her on like Nova Mix, You know, do you know that? Do you have that in States? Which is half long acting and half fast acting mixed into one, so she could have 2 shots a day.
Okay.
So they tried her on that, so that then a nurse could come in twice a day to do it, because my sister was refusing to do it. But then her numbers just went all over the shop. It was a total disaster.
Yeah.
So they had to go back to slow acting and fast acting.
Mm-hmm.
And she was starting to come round to the idea of, I'm going to have to eventually do it because mum can't do it herself. I was like, if it wasn't COVID, I'd be round there. I'd be coming round and doing it myself. It's not. But no, anyway,
I hear you. I hear the frustration. I understand. I don't want to ask more questions because it's your sister, but I think I get what's happening. I'm trying to get you to something that you brought up before we started speaking that you want to talk about. This all falls on you, your Poppy's care. Is that right?
Yeah.
You're the one that takes care of it. And generally speaking, your husband understands it or no?
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously the first 6 months it was me. He was obviously he's a police officer, so he was frontline. So he was still working 60, 70 hours a week during the whole of it. So the 3 of us were at home. So me and the 2 kids. So for that 6 months, I was very much doing all of it. He was involved. So when he was home, he would do the injections, but I would obviously be cooking the tea. I would be carb counting. I would be doing all of that kind of ratio stuff. And then when we started doing it ourselves, so not asking the hospitals for approval to make changes, it did fall to me. Now, I think because he always says, oh, you're a maths guru, you're a maths person, da-da-da, and all that he won't understand it. He will understand it. He just hasn't, because I do it.
Has he ever told you you're better at doing the dishes than I am? I would do them, but you're so good at it. So I'm going to try that on my wife is what I was just wondering if that works or not. I was like, vacuuming, there's a certain way you do it that I think really makes it better. You get in there. Yeah. Okay. So do you think that's him feeling like, oh God, I don't want to make a mistake?
So I've asked him about this. So with all that, so when I started learning, reading, within a couple of months of diagnosis, she got the Libre because I'd read that she needed something. Now, they wouldn't give out Dexcoms because they only gave out Dexcoms at that point to kids who were hypo-unaware. Now, she did have some hypo-awareness from the start, or people who had really severe hypoglycemic episodes or something like that. So she didn't tick any of the boxes for Dexcom. So this is why they gave her the Libre, which again is the NHS's way of like the poor man's, whatever it's called.
Back
I can't remember
that's
the term.
what they were saying. Yeah,
that's what they were saying back then. It's the cheap version. We'll give the cheap version. So we had that. We did have that for, let me think, 2 years, until in a weird way, thankfully, but also not thankfully, Poppy lost her hypo-awareness. Now, I think in my mind it was because she was roller coasting. She was having highs and lows because we couldn't rein it in. The Libre did not work for her. It was really bad. We went through this time where it had such a big lapse. If she was dropping, it would have a massive delay. So we'd have to put her low alarm at something crazy like 100. So 5.7. Is 5.7 100?
You want me to look?
Five's 90. So definitely over 90. But yeah, her high alarm was like 5.7 because by the time it went off at 5.7, she was already below 70.
5.7 is 103.
There we go. So yeah. So if her low alarm went off at 5.7, 103, we would finger prick and she would already be 3 point something. So in the 60s. So it just wasn't working for her. She wouldn't feel it. Yeah. We told the hospital this, thankfully, and they approved the Dexcom for her. And then since we got the Dexcom, her hypo-awareness has gradually come back. And I think it's because she's more stable now. She's got loads of stability. Since we found the podcast, as soon as she got the Dexcom, her A1C started coming down. So it was like 6.8, 6.6, 6.5, 6.3. As soon as we found the podcast, within 3 months, it's been in the 5s. And it's been in the 5s for 18 months.
Oh, that's wonderful.
5.3, 5.4, 5.5. It doesn't go above there.
That's amazing. Good for you.
It is amazing.
Congratulations.
Well, good for you.
Oh, listen,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. But again, I haven't said it to you. I shouldn't have said it again. But I should have said that I try really hard in these moments to do two things. First thing is, this is going to sound strange, but I like to separate myself from the podcast because it's unhealthy for me to feel like I helped all these people. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, but you are the creator of the information.
That's fine. The podcast helped you. It makes me more comfortable if we talk about it like that.
Okay.
But the other thing is that I just said the stuff out loud. You did all of the hard work, all the staring, all of the experiencing, thinking about it, going back again. Like I just sort of like, I don't know. I just shoved you through a door and I was like, if you keep walking in this direction, this is going to work out. And you did it, you know? So I appreciate it very much. I'm not trying to be, it's such a weird position for me to be in. I know. And I appreciate it. And thank you. I know I did this, but it's weird to say. It's weird to say out loud. It just feels, I feel like a dick if I say, I don't know. I just do.
Wow.
All these years later, it feels weird to have somebody thank you for their health. You know what I mean? You might not know. It's just an odd situation I'm in. I guess I'm never going to know why I feel that way. Like there's part of me that thinks because I didn't help my friend Mike, I don't want to feel like I helped other people. That's one of the things that bothers me a lot. And I think the other thing is that Arden is a work in progress, as she will be her whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not superstitious, but I don't want to take credit for the thing until I know if it worked the whole time. Because it would be strange if I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm so good at this, etc. However, and then, you know, Arden wakes up 10 years from now and has problems. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like it's just, I don't know how to explain this part.
You can do the best that you possibly can. And
it's weird because you could ask me almost any other question and I'd go on for 15 minutes and talk my head off and be completely clear-minded about it. But why can't you take a compliment about the podcast? I don't know. I can do it in writing. Like I can do it online and like on Facebook. If somebody's like, oh my God, the podcast helped me so much, blah, blah, blah. I can say, oh, I'm so happy for you. That's great. It's my pleasure. Like I'm easy. But when I can hear the person's voice, I curl up a little bit. I don't know why exactly. So anyway, I appreciate it. I'm so happy for you and for her. And I don't know why it makes me uncomfortable. Maybe if I make the podcast for 10 more years, I'll figure it. Maybe I should just ask Erica. Oh, why don't we just do that?
Yep.
She'll go, I'm not your therapist, but it's okay. We can still talk about it. Because I feel like an asshole right now. Like I really do. Like I'm like, why couldn't I just say thank you and move on? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Sarah, you didn't want to follow my...
A lot of people have that though. It's like when someone pays you a compliment, lots of people bat it away. It's like you need to just accept it. Someone say, oh, you look amazing today. You go, oh, this scruffy thing, this old thing I've just thrown off. It's like, no, just go, thank you.
I accept your example, except I'm not like that in any other aspect of my life. The other day, I bumped into my doctor, who's like literally bumped into her. And she's the one who helped me get on the GLP medication, which I've almost been on for exactly a year. I'm 45 pounds lighter today than I was a year ago.
Wow.
And she saw me and she goes, oh my God, you look so much younger. And I was like, yes, I do. And then I said it to anybody all day long who would stand in front of me. There was 6 weeks where I referred to myself as Skinny Scott. And I would say things like, Skinny Scott likes fashion. So I have no trouble accepting a compliment. In my mind, I didn't do this. Like I took the GLP and I lost weight. So I don't know. There's something.
Then you also made a conscious effort with thinking about what food was entering your body.
I have absolutely been doing that. And I'll take credit for that. I can't take credit for the podcast. It makes me feel weird. And by the way, like I can step out of it and tell you like academically, I know what I did. I know I made a thing that's bigger than anything else has ever been, that's reached more people, that's helping more people, that's more accessible and digestible. I know it's academically, I understand the whole thing. I can talk about the podcast like it's not me. I can't talk about me like I'm the podcast. I'm going to find out why. I'll go to therapy. Okay. All right. Let's get past this because nobody gives a shit what happened to me when I was 9 and why I can't take a goddamn compliment about a podcast. So people are like,
okay, let me tell you something which I think adds to our challenges that we've had over the years. You did touch on it earlier.
I'm ready.
Oh, sorry.
No, I thought you paused like you were waiting for me to say something. I'm like, go ahead, tell me.
So I said that I have a visual impairment.
Right.
So this actually threw a spanner in the works with Poppy's stuff. So after 6 months, they suggested to us that she would go on the waiting list. Again, it's not just handed out, the waiting list to get a pump. So we were like, yeah, 100%. Put her down for that, no problem. And they said it would take a year or whatever. I don't know.
Were they making it by hand?
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know how they justify whatever this waiting list was, but it was going to be a long waiting game.
Okay.
So we said yes to that. Meanwhile, Poppy was this, I don't know, really sensitive to injections. She was fine having them. We would do them. We weren't chasing her around the house too much. It was fine. She would give in to injections however many times, but she would bruise every single time that we did it. And we were like, is it her? Is it us? Like, you know, they say like, hold, like keep the needle 100, like totally still, hold it in for 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. We were doing that and it's still a massive bruise. I'm like, is she moving? She's 5. She does fidget a little bit. What is going on? Anyway, it didn't matter what we did. She would always bruise with every single injection. So she just looked like a little bruised pin cushion.
Like you're flicking her all the time. Yeah.
So we heard about this thing called the iPort, which I think you got someone else, a few people have mentioned.
Yeah.
Is it Medtronic?
It's Medtronic. Medtronic makes the iPort. I'll say this out loud for Medtronic because they're sponsors now. Again, I don't think it makes any money. I don't think there's any business behind, but it's such a great thing. I wish they would talk about it more. You know, it
really was good. So we looked at it. We requested it from a hospital. They said no. They said, we will not pay for that because you're on the waiting list for a pump. And I was like, I was like, hang on, but she's still bruising from injections right now.
Yeah, but a year from now, she won't be when we get it there.
Yeah. So they said, no, because you're on the waiting list for a pump, we will not fund an iPort. Okay, fine. So we self-funded it. We bought it ourselves, which is fine. And she was on that for however long until she finally got a pump. It was a godsend because obviously she couldn't feel the injection. It was very similar to a cannula. You change it every 3 days. She's having her injections just literally slotted into the hole, which I managed to do with magnifiers and glasses and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So I could do that. Anyway, so when we get to the pump situation, they have a choice. So again, our hospital had the choice of Medtronic or Omnipod.
Yeah.
So those were the two options. Now we went to the little meeting. They had them all on the table. So Poppy looks at these small little cannulas, and then she looks at to her, chunky Omnipod, and she goes, I want those. And I said, right, yeah, hang on. But what you've got to understand is that tiny cannula is attached to a tube, which is then attached to this massive, massive pump. And she was like, yeah, that's what I want. I was like, okay. I had thought she'd go with tubeless. Okay, fine, we'll see. So you get the trial. So they do a saline trial with it. So we took it home. She was liking it. She was like, yeah, we like this. I want to do this.
Good.
We said, okay, fine. Got it all authorised, got it all funded, etc., etc. Bring it home. I can't see to fill it. Oh. It doesn't matter what I do. I cannot get the insulin out of the vial. Yes, I can't even remember how it was. So you had to fill the little reservoir, then you had to prime the tubing, get all the bubbles through the tubing, get the bubbles out of whatever it was. I was not able to do it. Couldn't do it. So we then had to get into discussions with them. Could my husband fill it on a day when we weren't using it, like before he got to work? And they were just like, no, they pulled it. They were like, you're not having it. There's no way around it. You're not having it. She'll have to wait another year for a pump.
They couldn't just give you a different pump?
Oh, so this is what they said. They said if it's not that one, 100. They didn't even talk to us about the Omnipod. They just said if you can't see to fill that one, you're not going to be able to see to fill anything else. It's done. Her pump journey is put on hold until she's old enough to do it herself. And I was mortified. I was like, no, I'm affecting her health. This is all my fault. This is going to be her waiting until she's 10, 11, 12. I couldn't envisage when she was going to be able to do this all herself. But thankfully, we then got a follow-up phone call from them, and they said, actually, there's this other pump that we don't actually prescribe here, but we do have a couple of people on it, and it's called the Accutech Insight pump, and it has pre-filled cartridges.
There you go.
So you literally just pop the cartridges in and fill the tubing, and it's done. Would you like to see that one? And obviously I was like, yes, please. She still had to wait another 6 or 8 months for it.
Seriously, what are they doing? Are they bringing them in like
I don't know. I honestly do not understand this time delay. I literally do not understand.
Have you guys heard of have you heard of like overnight mail?
You know what I mean? Thing is, they would have given us that. We had the Medtronic in our house in the January, but when we had the faff and had to give it back, we didn't get the other one until the September.
Why did you tell them the truth? When they told you they were going to take it back, why didn't you say, oh, don't worry, you know what, my husband's going to do it?
Because there was no physical way for me to do it, though, when he wasn't here.
Yeah, I know, but like, why didn't you just lie to keep the pump and then, I don't know, pay a neighbor to do it or a homeless person or something like that?
I don't know. Yeah. We just didn't think, it was just, horrible. It was horrible.
UK, there's heroin users everywhere. Couldn't you just walk out on the street and go, hey, I'll give you $1 if you put this needle? That would be great with a needle. Like they'll be able to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about England. Are there heroin users there?
No, I mean, I've never. I mean, my husband comes across them a lot, but that's his job.
I'm saying he could have found one that would have been able to do this for you. Like, yeah, it felt like in a world where you fought so hard, you gave up really easy. It felt like. Is it because you felt bad about it being your fault?
It's because there was no other option. In my mind, there wasn't anything else. If they're saying you cannot do this, there physically is no way you can do this. I was like, there is no way. I've screwed it up for her. I'm
wondering, I could be wrong. I'm wondering if it didn't take out your resolve because you felt like it was your fault because of the visual impairment. Like, did it sap your resolve? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I would fight about everything else.
Yeah, that was my point.
But I think it did. I think it did.
Isn't it interesting? I can figure you out, but not me.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't take a compliment, but I'm like, hey, I wonder if this is what happened with you. Okay, so do you end up with the AccuCheck? It works good?
Yeah, so we went with the AccuCheck. It was a godsend. It was fantastic. And I was doing all the tools of temporary basals and extended boluses, all of that. We used all of the tools, even though, again, they were like, well, you probably won't use these. Yeah, I used them. I used everything. If that pump can do something, I'm going to use it.
Right.
So I went all in with that. And she used that for about a year 18 months. But after a year, we started finding this problem with, you would call tunneling.
Yeah.
2 days. We wouldn't get past 2 days. On the third day, guaranteed, something is going wrong. Why are her numbers going up? This is not working. So the hospital just thought it was a bizarre thing. Like, surely we're not the only family for this to happen to. They were like, oh, well, we can try a different length. Oh, try different length cannulas. That was it. Mm-hmm. So from 6 millimeter to 8 millimeter, I think it was, they changed that. And then it was still happening after a few months. We were like, it's still happening. We just have to change our pump site on day 2. Otherwise we have problems. Oh, well, yeah. They didn't know what was going on. We'll try. Well, there's these different cannulas. We can try the true steel cannula or a 45, a different angled cannula, all of this. And I was like, do you know what? This doesn't make sense. Anyway, so they were trying to push us to do all of these different things, different cannulas or different lengths and change all of this. But then Poppy started saying, do you know what? This pump is really annoying me. I was like, what do you mean? Before, she'd carry it in like a little kind of lycra belt thing around her. Never had any problems. She would wear it during PE at school, do trampolining, never had a problem. But she just started saying, it's getting in the way. It's always banging on me. It's always there. It's big. I can't sleep in certain positions. The tube's there. And I was like, you've had it for 1.5 years and you've never said this before. And she was like, well, it's bothering me now. So I thought, right, do you know what? This is the ideal opportunity for us to kick off and say to the hospital, we're not happy with this. Yeah. So the first bite, obviously I said, right, do you know what? All these cannula problems we're having. She started to say this pump is irritating her. It's getting in the way. It's cumbersome. It's inflicting her. She says it's affecting her happiness because it's affecting her life, the way she can live her life. First thing they said was, well, you're in a 4-year contract. So she's still got to have it for another 2.5 years.
By the way, isn't it free? Who are you in a contract with?
The pump company, apparently. They're in a contract with them. I don't know who's in a contract with who.
Go ahead.
So that was the first pushback. I didn't have that. I was like, well, if she's not happy with it and it's affecting her quality of life and her happiness, then we need to find a solution, don't we? Plus, the cannulas are not working. Whatever it is, however you want to look at it, we have a problem. So they went away with that. Thankfully, they came back and said, well, actually, there's been some issues with that pump and they are recalling some of them. So really, we would want to actually encourage you to get off that pump sooner. So yes, we will authorise you to come out of that contract early.
Nobody knows what they're talking about, Sarah.
They don't know.
No one ever knows. Forget healthcare for a second. It's all, let me tell you something I told my son the other day. The world is being held together by baling wire, duct tape, bubble gum, and a little bit of luck. Okay. So like there's just no one knows what they're doing. They just say something that they heard someone else say or that they think they're supposed to say. No one has an original thought. They don't take the reins. I mean, some people do, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people don't. And then you end up in these situations where they say things to you like, you can't. You can. You know, have you tried this? Try that. Try this. We don't know. Like no one knows anything. They don't understand what to do next. It's very frustrating. I just, you know, especially when it comes to health like this. So what'd you do? Did you just like, did you go crazy? Did you finally try to drive and just drive the car right through the building?
Exactly.
Stop being, just give me what I need. Oh my God. No. So how does this all work out? Like, how do you end up, because I'm assuming you end up with Omnipod.
Yeah. So thankfully I had started listening. So this was all, I'd started listening to you in the October of 2022. Mm-hmm. And this is all happening February. February was when she started having all the issues. So in my mind, I'm already an Omnipod person, but obviously that's not my decision to make. I know, within reason.
Yeah, I understand.
So she's, what is she then? 7? No. Yep, 7. So she's 7 and a bit. So when she starts saying all this, this pump is not getting on, I'm not getting on with this pump, it's music to my ears because I'm like, I already want you to have Omnipod. Mm-hmm. But the hospital were trying to push T-Slim. Clearly, they were all in the new, whatever the new Control IQ, and they were loving it. They'd approached us and said, like, we're loving this. This is the new way forward. Once you finish with Roche, we want you to go on this. And then we had all these problems and they said, right, we want you on this Control IQ. It's all singing, it's all dancing. And I said, okay, we're going to have the same issues with me filling this. And they were like, oh, well, no, it should be fine. Da, 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 da. And I actually posted in the Juicebox group saying any visual impairment that we're looking at T-Slim, T-Slim and Omnipod. And loads of people helped with both. There were like filling tools and filling aids and all this for the T-Slim. But lots of people said, just the Omnipod is just, you don't even need to be able to see to do it. So we did get the demo using your link.
Thank you.
Of course, omnipod.com/juicebox. We went and got the demo. We went and got the demo pod. She loved it. She was like, I can't even feel it's on. I think we put one on her. They sent you 2. I'm sure they sent us 2, yeah. So she could trial it for like 6 days rather than just 3. I think she had one on her tummy, one on her butt. And either way, she was like, I can sleep on it. It's not in the way. It's amazing. So we went straight back to our hospital team. We're like, yeah, she wants this. We want it. Sort it. So that was February or March. And so again, they dragged their feet. And she finally got approved for it. And we got it. They still made us do a saline trial, even though she was already on a pump, a functioning tubed pump. What is the actual point? But anyway, so that's them.
That's what
June,
they do.
She got it June.
That's the point. The point is that's what they do. There's no thinking.
That's what they do.
Like, this
I said, we don't need
step.
to do that.
Yeah.
Because she's already worn one. No, she had to do a saline trial. Anyway, June. She got that June 2023. And then she got moved over to the Omnipod 5 in the August. So she literally only had a Dash pod for like 2 months. And then we went on Omnipod 5. And again, it's not affected her A1C at all. It was in the low fives. It's still in the low fives. They said, oh, well, you might not get as good results with the Omnipod 5 as what you were doing. And I was like, well, no, not if I leave it to do what it wants to do. But I don't.
And you've been having good success with it. Yeah. Well,
I don't
saw
fight
that
with it. I help it.
Yeah, I saw somebody the other day. They're like, oh, this isn't keeping my blood sugar where I want. I'm like, are you bolusing? Like, we just think it was going to be magic? You know, like it's, and not just Omnipod 5, by the way, all those algorithms.
All of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Do it yourself, Tandem, Omnipod, they need you to intervene sometimes. There's variables about the food that you can't translate to the pump just by saying a carb count sometimes. You know, so it's really.
So one thing I have to sing the praises of for the Omnipod 5 really about was, again, something you helped us with. So she does on a Monday night, she does Taekwondo, which is 90 minutes, martial arts, and there's an adrenaline rush in there. And we didn't know what it was. She only started it about a year and a half ago. And the first few times she went, I was like, what is this? What is happening? What is going on? She walks through the door and she skyrockets. She hasn't had her tea for 2 hours. We did the right, but I didn't understand what it was. And then I worked out it was adrenaline, but I didn't know how to deal with it until you said bolus for a juice box. Because if she doesn't have the adrenaline, you can just give her the juice box. And that was like light bulb moment. Wow. That is what we did. We actually had to bolus for 2 juice boxes. That's how much adrenaline she had.
Wow.
But we would do it.
Sometimes you have to catch it and sometimes you don't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when she changed, so we did that for about 9 months. It was working. We just have to bolus for 2 juice boxes the minute she walks in, leave them on the side, because I don't stay either. It's a drop off. It's not sit and watch them. It's I'm going. So the teachers know I text her. We all about texting diabetes. If she needs to do something, I've texted her. For that hour and a half. But yeah, so we did that for about 9 months. Then she got the Omnipod 5. So September, her first lesson, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know. Should I still put in that 2 juice boxes or should I not? And I was like, I'm really going to have to sit on my hands. This is so hard not to. I don't want to just watch it because I don't want her rocketing up to 250 when I know she doesn't need to. But I thought, okay, I did sit on my hands and nothing happened. She didn't go above 140.
Interesting.
But and I was like, that can't be right. How? So I stayed there for the first week. And then after that, I just dropped her off. And touch wood, apart from this 1 week, it has handled it every single time.
Wow. That's great.
She does drop at the end though. So the last 5-10 minutes, she starts to plummet.
A little bit of juice.
But I just, a little bit, or she's got glucose tabs. Okay. So it sorts out adrenaline, but it can't sort out growth hormone. There's no chance in hell that it can sort that out.
That's a lot of impact. The adrenaline also spikes and it goes away very quickly too. When the adrenaline's gone, the lift from the adrenaline's gone, which is why you're seeing a low afterwards, because it can't know. It's expecting that high to come back the way on the curve that it expects, and then the adrenaline goes away and you drop really quickly. It's hard to deal with, but it sounds like you're doing a really good job with it. Yeah,
most of the time. Again, now we've mastered it, I think, most of the time. Sometimes I'm like, why is it doing that? And no, I do know better than you most of the time, Mr. Algorithm. But yeah, it's definitely a godsend. I wouldn't go back to the sleepless nights, 100% not. It's definitely, yeah, you can use it to your advantage and you can work with it and not fight against it.
Excellent.
It's not magic. I would love it to have overrides like you talk about with Loop, with the, plus 130, plus 30% for, and all of that. I would love it to have that. And I hope that's something that will come in the future. And in lower targets. I do think it does have to have that moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hope they continue to refine it. I hope they all continue to refine all these algorithms. Honestly, they're going to have to, because one of them is going to do it and they're all going to think, oh, we can't not make ours better. They're going to have to keep trying. I think it comes slowly, obviously, but you're used to slow because it takes you a year to get everything. So
exactly.
It doesn't really matter. Exactly. We didn't really talk about the one thing that you asked to talk about. And
I know. I'm sorry. I keep getting distracted.
No, don't be. You're doing great. do you want to, I'm a little low on time. Like, do you want to go over it or do you want to let it go?
Yeah, there were two things I wanted to incorporate, which I don't think we're going to have time to do both of them. But one thing that I think is not talked about as much as it needs to be, and I'm sure lots and lots of people feel this, is the fact of burnout, or the fact that in most situations, one of you has to take up more of the slack of diabetes than the other. So I do hear lots of people say, oh, we've got a 50-50 split and I do half and the other does half. And I think, really? How is that possible? If you're, are you both working part-time, or if someone's working full-time and the other one isn't, how the hell do you get a 50-50 split? I don't know many families who have a 50-50 split in parenting. I'm not, one parent will do the majority of something.
Okay.
So I'm not saying, so for example, the mum might sort out all the school uniforms and she knows what shoes she needs to buy them, and she knows that they, or she'll do all the meal plans, or she'll do the school lunches or whatever. Or again, if it's a stay-at-home dad, he'll be doing all of those kinds of things. He knows what uniform needs to be bought. Booking school clubs, booking activity. I can't envisage that it literally is a line down the middle 50-50 with every parenting situation. And why it would be diabetes, I don't know. Yes, I was at home with Poppy for 6 months. So obviously I got a handle on it more than Chris, because he was at work 24/7.
Yeah. When
I started learning, so reading the books, looking on the internet, found the Juicebox, listened to all the podcasts, and I mean listen to them, as in I beasted myself with them and listened to all of them in less than a year and a half.
Wow.
So I was listening to 5-6 hours a day. I'm actually up to speed now. I'm all caught up the other week. Like last week, I was like, I have to finish all of these by the 7th of March when we're recording. And I did. But now I'm like, I don't have Scott in my ears 5 hours a day. What's going on?
Is it strange for you to be talking to me?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm only listening, hearing you like for 1 hour a day now. And I'm like, it's really weird that you're not there.
I'm going to go tell my wife that there's a person in England that is upset that she can only hear me for an hour a day. And then I'll time how long she laughs for. And then I'll get back to you and tell you. Okay. And she'll be like, you know what she'll say? You should tell her to move here and live with you. That's exactly what she'll say.
Yeah, she will say
I'm
that.
amazed. I'm genuinely touched that you listened to the entire podcast. That's really something. And it's helping you, right? What's Poppy's A1C?
Yeah. Last one, 5.3.
Yeah, good for you. That's wonderful. Congratulations. That I feel good about. Isn't that interesting? That I'm like, That's nice. I can feel nice about that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're saying that it's not a 50-50 split in your house, but what did you tell me? How much of what you told me before we started recording do you want to say here?
This is how I feel. I feel like it's assumed that I've got it. Like, for example, Chris gets home from work. I'm doing the tea. So I'm cooking the tea. So obviously I'm carb counting, doing that. But if I need to go out of the house for any reason, it still does fall to me. So many, many times I've gone out. So I work from home, but I need to go out, or I've gone to the shops, and it's, I'm getting the phone call or I'm getting the text, or what do I do in this? And I'm like, you do know what to do in this situation because you've done it before, but you feel like you need to check with me. How many carbs is this? Okay, well, if I was at home, I'd be reading the packet. So can you not read the packet? Why do you need to ring me to ask me what that is when you can find that information yourself?
So there's one of two thoughts here. Like, is he just nervous to make a mistake and hurt her? Or are you lording over him and you don't realize it and he doesn't want to make you upset?
So that's what, so I've asked him about this. I have said, and I told him before today, I did say, I am going to be speaking to Scott about how I feel the burnout, and you
seem to be enjoying yourself. Yeah. Okay.
You don't do as much as he said, no, I fully get it's majority on you. And, I work full time and I haven't got the time to look at it as much as you look at it. So therefore I know I'm not on the same page as you. I'm not up to speed as much as as much as you are.
Okay.
My opinion is, if you listen to all the pro tips episodes, you would be up to speed. But he has listened to maybe 3 of them. And I did harp on about it, and he has made the effort to start. However, yes, I do appreciate he's got a 70-hour-a-week job. He can't he's got a 45-minute drive to and from work, which I said, well, that's 2 podcasts a day.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Well,
yeah.
I agree with that, by the way. Also,
that's what I think.
Is he not in a police car all day?
No.
Oh, he's on foot?
He's in the station interviewing.
Oh, okay. I see. All right, so you can't listen to a podcast while he's working.
Can't do it.
Right.
No, it's just the drive to and from work. But he says he doesn't get signal. I said, you don't need signal. You can download it onto your phone and then you can listen to it without internet.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't managed to master that.
He hasn't figured out the internet yet?
No.
So do you think he doesn't want to and you're upset by that? Or do you...
He says he does want to. I think he does want to. He says he does think that he's going to get it wrong. He said, if she's with me for a day, I know her numbers won't be as good as when she's with you. I'm like, yeah, but why not? Like,
maybe
they could
he feels
be.
pressure by it.
Don't feel pressured, and don't feel like I'm going to berate you or criticize everything. I want you to try.
All right, so Sarah, two things.
If it goes wrong,
I've been married for 27 years, so let me give you my thought here.
Mm.
If I told my wife, don't feel pressured when she felt pressured, she'd leave me. And if that's for sure, she'd be like, oh, is that your advice, idiot? And then that would be the end of it. And so, like, I get your point. Like, just try it. You'll be okay. You know that. You have that comfort, right? Just listen to the Bold Beginnings series. Like, he could certainly, like, commit to that. And then once he gets through that, give him the pro tips. And then he'll be okay. Mm-hmm. Then he'll feel more confident and he'll try the things that you're talking about. Like, he doesn't have to he doesn't have to listen to the whole goddamn podcast. He could listen to some of the series. They would probably help him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you listening to the podcast literally straight through. Listen, I haven't said this in a while because there's like 1,150 episodes now. But I absolutely believe if you go back to the first one and listen to this podcast, you're going to have an A1C in the mid-5s. Mm-hmm. I really do think you will. And it's not because the secrets are dripped through, but it's the way you pick up the information by listening long-term and becoming immersed in it for a while. And you don't have to do it forever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it took you a year or so. That's one, by the way, I really appreciate that. But like, you know, I know what a commitment it is, but look how it paid you back. I mean, really, what are we talking about? You listen to a podcast for a year and a half and now your kid's A1C is 5.3 on an algorithm that some people will tell you can't get a 5.3 A1C that easily, you know? So you understand what you're doing. You literally became me in a year and a half. As far as diabetes goes. So it's amazing. You did. So that's it. Tell him to listen to the series. Also, tell him you won't have sex with him if he doesn't do it. That's pretty much the fastest way to get this done. Seriously. I don't know why. Again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. If I was a girl, I'd have everything I wanted. So I don't understand when you guys are like, I can't get him to do it. I'm like, sure you can. Like, what the heck? You could make me like, I would hit a homeless guy with my car if I was told to for sex. I mean, I wouldn't kill them. No, I wouldn't kill them, but I mean, I'd like, you know, I'd doink them a little, like if I knew they were going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a lot. Anyway, use your power. Okay. And then, by the way, don't pay at the end. Just at the end, go, I shouldn't have had to have done this. Although your mom would have. She was a player. So... Has your mom not been good long enough for us to joke about her? I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's been 3 years.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine. Yeah. All right. Is there anything we haven't said that we should have? And do you want to hear the 3 titles I have written down? My possible titles for your episode.
I have one thing that I will try and condense as much as possible for you.
Go ahead.
Poppy started to get anxiety, which I think, again, is a thing that we would never want our children to have. But when she was diagnosed, she used to have school dinners and we were very much like, nothing's going to change. Diabetes doesn't change, make your life change, all this. So we wanted her to stick with the school dinners, not have to say, no, you must have packed lunches now because diabetes doesn't make you have to change anything. So we were adamant that she stuck with it, but it was really hard. So the teachers had to learn how to look at what she was going to eat on her school dinner, carb count, all of this. It was a work in progress and they did as the best they could.
Okay.
However, after a while, it materialized that she told me, and it mortified me. She'd always been really good at, you know, they would put her insulin in, put her to the end of the queue, so she had a bit of a pre-bolus time, and then she would eat her food. Now, she told me that she was forcing her food down because she knew she had to because of her insulin.
Oh.
And it made me feel so sad. So sad. Because I was like...
That's going to make me cry. I don't know why. Damn it.
I felt so guilty because I just thought... I was like... Because I said, you've always been a really good eater. Because that was it. She got ill. She had a little tummy infection. And it was making her have a sore tummy. So she didn't want to eat at school.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'd rung me and said, she only wants to eat half of her lunch. We've already dosed for it. And I was like, right, okay, that's fine. Just, can you get her to have a juice?
Yeah.
So it was not a problem. But the same thing happened the next day. And then she was crying and she was like screaming, like, I can't eat this. My tummy hurts, all of this. It's like, okay, don't worry. It's fine. And when she came home, she said, you forced me to eat. I was like, I didn't. I just said, could you possibly try to eat this and have a juice if you can't? I said, I don't know why this is happening, Pops, because you've always been really good with your food. It's just your tummy ache. She said, I forced myself to eat food at school. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, I know that if I have insulin, I have to eat it. So even if I'm full up and even if I don't want to eat it, I will make myself eat it. And I thought, I can't believe this has been happening. Yeah. And I had no clue. So eventually we spoke to the teachers. We found out she did have a urine infection, which had caused her to have a stomachache. So I said, right, when you take her down to lunch, if she only wants to eat half a portion, just dose for half a portion. Let her decide before you tell her she's got to eat all of it.
Right.
Well, it seemed to be like all the staff in the cafeteria were like eagles. They were watching her and they were like flocking around her and going, you have to eat that, Poppy. You must eat that. Like really putting pressure on her.
Oh my God.
And this was making her really, really super anxious. We'd always said to her, carrots are carb free. Now I know they do have a tiny amount of carbs, but the amount of portion that they give them at school, like a teeny tiny bit of carrot, we just, in her mind, carrots are carb free.
Right.
So this dinner lady had come over and gone, you need to eat your carrots. And she was like, well, yeah, but they're carb free. You need to eat those or you're not going out to play. And it had just sent her over the edge. So that was it. We said, people need to stop talking to her about her lunch. And the same thing, they said, no one will talk to her about her lunch. And then the next day she said, I only want half that portion of peaches. And the lady had said to her, my 3-year-old would eat more than that. You need to eat more than that.
Oh, Jesus.
So it was just all this.
More people who don't know what they're doing. It's I told you, it's everywhere. Also, that really made me upset. I don't know, but it really hit me hard when you said that. Jesus. Yeah.
So I just thought, right, do you know what? We drew a line. We just said, right, do you know what? Pulled it. No more school dinners, packed lunches, straight to packed lunches. And it's fine. The problem is totally gone. She makes her own packed lunch every evening. So she chooses exactly how much is going to go in her lunch. And she knows she's going to eat it.
Yeah.
And then we told school, so I had to speak to the headmistress. I said, I don't want anyone talking to her about what she's eating. Yeah. They all need to back off. So she's allowed to use her phone during lunch now. So now during lunch, they put her insulin in at lunch. They set a 15-minute timer. She goes out to the playground. She goes in and eats. She texts me saying, all done. Or if there was a problem, she'd say, I couldn't eat my blah. Mm-hmm. And then I would say, right, okay, that's half a juice or that's a quarter. Go and have that instead. So no one is in the picture other than her and me. We text.
That's good.
She does her own. No one else is involved, and it's alleviated so much of it.
Yeah.
It's all gone now.
No, I'm happy.
Because I was like, this was a slippery slope into problems.
An eating disorder for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, on its way.
Because all these other people were telling her what she had to do, looking at her, cross-examining her, forcing her. And I was like, this cannot happen.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you figured that out. I'm glad she spoke up. I'm glad you figured that out. I'm glad you shared it too.
Thankfully.
Yeah. No, thank you. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Here, I'm a little long, but here are my 4 choices. You're going to help me pick. As you know, the crack is on my list. Things you don't know are on my list. Cooking the tea, spanner wrench, all singing, all dancing. I'm leaning towards spanner wrench.
Wow.
Where's
spanner wrench from?
Because you used the word spanner and it threw a spanner into it. Here you would have said, in America, you would have said you throw a wrench into it. I know that a spanner wrench is a spanner wrench because I was a fireman and that's the wrench name to open the hydrants.
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason I know the word spanner. So what are we going to call this episode? Cooking the tea is probably obvious, though. Maybe we want that one. What do you think?
Well, we didn't get to the ones that I thought that you were going to choose because we haven't.
Go ahead.
I didn't incorporate into with Poppy's anxiety. So what she does every night now, so that she's not worried about the next day, because she always says, "Oh yeah, that was it." Sometimes if she can't sleep at night, and it's not to do with blood sugar levels, but sometimes she's had occasional evenings where she can't sleep. And she's just tossing and turning for a while. So she has this ritual she does every night. So she says, "I need energy for tomorrow, don't I?" She always asks me this at bedtime. "Mummy, I need energy for tomorrow, don't I?" And then I will be able to eat tomorrow's lunch and everything will be a fantastic day. And I want to relive the day because it will be so good. So energy for tomorrow was my
energy
thought,
for tomorrow. All right.
We didn't even get to it.
Yeah, but you didn't say it. It's okay. We'll see. I like you. All right. It's on my list. We'll see what happens. Sarah, thank you very much. You were really fantastic. This was wonderful. I appreciate you taking the time. What time is it where you are right now?
It's now just gone 3:30.
Okay. All right. Well, it's only 10.
Can I ask you one question at the end?
I don't see why not. Go ahead.
One thing we're really struggling with, and I haven't mastered this, is if her blood sugar is on the low side before a meal. So say she's ticking over at like 75, 4.2-ish, nice and flat. But if you give the normal pre-bolus time, so we give 15, 20 minutes. If we give 15, 20 minutes, she's going to go down and hit 60 or something. Do you, instead of doing, because obviously if we shorten the pre-bolus time, she'll rock it up. So do you shorten the pre-bolus time and then add on extra, so a super bolus?
What would I do there?
I can't seem to work it out, because if she's 4.2, I know she's going to drop massively if we give a 20-minute bolus.
Why don't you just cut?
So
you tried, first of all, have you tried just cutting just a few minutes off of it?
She still seems to go quite far down.
Down to 60. And is she dizzy at 60?
No. She would not fit.
And how long does she stay there? Only a minute or two until the food hits her, right?
Yeah, maybe 2 rotations of the Dexcom.
So then if I take the number 60 out of this equation, are you comfortable with her bolus?
Yeah.
It's the number you're uncomfortable with.
It's the number, because the hospital nag me about numbers, and I'm so paranoid about not having any 3s. They hate the 3s. They hate the 60s.
So all I can tell you is this. When I see Arden bolusing and she goes to like 65, like in that range, for a couple of minutes after a big bolus, and then I watch it come back up again, I think, oh, this is going to be a great bolus. She's not going to get high after this.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it. Now, if you're getting lower than that, if she was dizzy, I would, if any of that was happening to Arden, I would change my tune about that. And if you're telling me that making it a little shorter results in a spike, then again, I would do that. Now, if it really bothers you, she could bolus, have a bite or two of something, and wait 20 minutes. And that might be enough to balance it out. But I mean, that seems a little cruel to let her start eating and then tell her to stop again.
Yeah.
I would say that if she's not getting lower than 60, have you ever checked it with a finger stick to make sure?
Yeah.
And she's about 60?
And about that, yeah. It doesn't generally go below that.
Yeah. So this is not advice, and I am not a doctor, but I wouldn't change anything about that probably.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, then.
But I mean, otherwise you're going to have to, the other thing you could easily do, I mean, it's a pump, right? So if it's a, let's just make up a number. If it's a 4-unit pre-bolus, you could put 3 units in and then wait 20 minutes and then bolus the 4th unit and then eat.
Okay.
That would probably work, because then you weaken the pre-bolus a little, but not enough it would still stop the spike. And then the secondary bolus would only be a few minutes behind it. That might be the best idea if you're trying to avoid the number.
Okay.
Split the bolus a little bit.
Cool.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Yes. I'm not a doctor. This
Thank
is
you.
not advice. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Did you enjoy this?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Absolutely.
All right. Hold on 1 second for me. Okay.
Okay.
Sarah, we're recording again real quickly. I meant to say something to you when you said about Poppy being anxious. Have you checked her thyroid levels?
hang on, let me think. Yeah, her last one was 2.2.
Okay. TSH 2.2.
Yeah.
Has it been rising?
I don't know what the one before that was. So that was, what month are we in now? That was October. They only do it once a year.
Yeah.
I haven't got the one from a year ago.
See if you can get them to sneak in another one, because if her TSH is going up, if she's having thyroid issues, anxiety could be a part of that.
Okay.
And if she's having trouble sleeping or does she feel rested after she sleeps? She feel tired?
She said so. No, she says she's okay. She just occasionally has had it. We attributed it to once she had a fizzy drink, and we think she's like super, super sensitive to caffeine, and she couldn't get to sleep that night. But it does just seem to happen like once every few months. She just cannot sleep. And I suppose that happens to all of us.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. But the anxiety
really
thing, if that TSH keeps creeping up or you see any other thyroid symptoms, please get that addressed and see if that doesn't help the anxiety.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I will do.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
If you're ready to try America's most loved food delivery service, just check out hungryroot.com/juicebox. Plans start as low as $69 per week. You can skip a week or cancel at any time. hungryroot.com/juicebox. I want to thank the Eversense CGM for sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast and invite you to go to eversensecgm.com/juicebox to learn more about this terrific device. You can head over now and just absorb everything that the website has to offer, and that way you'll know if Eversense feels right for you. eversensecgm.com/juicebox. A huge thanks to Touched by Type 1 for sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Check them out on their website, touchedbytype1.org, or on Facebook and Instagram. Hey, thanks for listening all the way to the end. I really appreciate your loyalty and listenership. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. If you have type 2 or pre-diabetes, the Type 2 Diabetes Pro Tip series from the Juicebox Podcast is exactly what you're looking for. Do you have a friend or a family member who is struggling to understand their type 2 and how to manage it? This series is for them. 7 episodes to get you on track and up to speed. Episode 860, Series Intro. 864, Guilt and Shame. Episode 869, Medical Team. 874, Fueling Plan. Episode 880, Diabetes Technology. Episode 885, GLP-1s, metformin, and insulin. And in episode 889, we talk about movement. This episode is with me and Jenny Smith. Of course, you know Jenny is a certified diabetes care and education specialist. She's a registered and licensed dietitian, and Jenny has had type 1 diabetes for over 30 years. Too many people don't understand their type 2 diabetes, and this series aims to fix that. Share it with a friend or get started today. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com.